In this video, I'm going to show you how to design something that then you're going to cut out using the ShopBot. And so just as kind of an arbitrary example, I want to make this out of this. So this is 1/2-inch plywood. And what I want to do is I want to carve out a square of that that's 3 inches on a side. It's going to have a circle of 1/8 inch holes that go all the way through. That circle is going to be 2 inches wide and have 10 1/8 inch holes through it. Going to have a little pocket up here. That's where it's a square that's carved down into the wood but doesn't go all the way through. And just for fun, I'm going to put a little HPU up here in the upper right. So that's the goal. And so let me show you how to do that. And so on the laptop that controls the ShopBot, you should now be seeing the screen. And there's a program here called VCarve Pro, and that is the design software that allows you to make your drawings 2D, and then also then to define the three-dimensional cuts that are going to be made in, like I said, this piece of wood. So let's fire up VCarve here, and we're going to create a new file. Now this particular piece of wood is 22 inches wide by 8 3/4 inches in the other dimension in height, and those are already in here, but normally you wouldn't be so lucky and you would just have to type those in, the dimensions, okay? And then it is a 1/2 inch wide. The XY datum position is where's the origin of the coordinate system. And so I'm using the upper left-hand corner. That just kind of comes naturally to me, but you can put it wherever you would like. You can also use millimeters or inches, whichever you'd like. I'm sticking with inches for right now. Okay, so let's start off with, I've got my little design here, and I'm going to make a square. I'm going to make it radiused, and I'm going to make it 3 inches wide, I said it would be, and 3 inches high. And I'm going to put that not at the very edge of the wood. I'm going to put it at 1 inch from the left-hand edge and 1 inch down from the top edge, so -1. And so that is my square. Now I was silly in that I put it I'm going to put the anchor point for the square to be the upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner here. So I'm going to create another one, and I'm going to close. Now I have this extra one that I created, so I'm just going to select that and hit the delete key to get rid of that. Now I wanted a set of 10 holes in a 2-inch circle centered. So I'm going to say that the center is going to be 2.5 inches. So this is 3 inches across. So about here is about 2.5 or so. So that's what we've got in here, just luckily. And 2 inches in diameter, so I'm going to create that. Close. And I'm going to make another box. And this box is going to be, I'm going to make it 0.3 inches by 0.3 inches height and width. And you know what? I'm going to make my anchor point for that, the center, and I can just click where I want it to go. Yeah, you can type in an X and Y here, but you can also click here to make your box. Now I did want it to be 0.5 inches square, so I'm going to go ahead and alter that here to make it 1/2 inch square. No, I wanted it 0.3. I'm misremembering. So it's going to be 0.3 and 0.3. Okay? So apply. and close. So I now have my little box there. And then I said that I wanted to have HPU in the upper left hand corner. And I'm gonna check, select a font here. You don't want something like Times New Roman that has the little fiddly bits, because it's hard to get fine detail when you're engraving unless you use a very, very small bit. I'm using a 1/8 inch bit. So you know what, I'm going to go, you know what, why don't I do with this little kind of scripty thing here? And I'm going to make it half an inch high. Let's see how that works out. And there it is. So I'm going to close this. And then I can use my arrow keys on the keyboard to put that, I'll put it right here in the center rather than the upper left-hand side. And then my last thing was I wanted that circle here in the middle was to house, or to be the pattern on which a circle of holes is going to be located. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click that circle. And I'm going to come down here to the bottom and copy object along vectors. Now, any object I create, I can make multiple copies and I can have it follow the pattern defined by another shape. But there is if I wanted to copy any kind of object, any shape I made, like this box or something else that I made, I could do that. But it does have this special button for just if you want a bunch of circles, that is holes. These are going to be 0.125 inches. If that wasn't already there, I would type it. And I want 10 copies. I can make it whatever I want, but we'll go ahead and we'll make it 10 copies. So there we go. And I'm going to close there. And now that I have my circle of holes, I'm going to get rid of the circle itself because I don't want to carve that circle. That was just really the pattern I was using to line up the small circles, okay? So there is my design. You know what, I'm gonna move this, I'm gonna select that, move it just a little bit closer to the edge, okay. So I've made a two-dimensional drawing. Now what I'm going to do next is come over here to the right, and you see this little button here that says Tool Paths. Now that pulls out the carving tools. Now if I move away from that, it puts it away. So if you hit this little push pin, it doesn't, the menu panel doesn't retract. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what we want to do. We want all of these circles here, the small circles. So I'm going to shift click on these. A little tedious. I could just click and drag to select, but then I'd select the HPU in the middle, and I don't want to do that. And so I'm going to click here for drilling toolpath, and I'm going to choose the 1/8 inch ball-nosed mill. That looks like this, okay? And now if I were using something else, click the select button and choose which curving tool, which cutting tool you want. But I'm gonna go with what I had there, the 1/8 inch ball nose. And I want my depth of cut. I'm gonna make it 0.51 inches. Now the board is 1/2 inch thick, and in fact that's what I told VCarve, it's 1/2 inch. But I'm going 0.51 inches on purpose. I'm cutting a little bit through it, and that is on purpose. Now when I hit calculate, it's going to say it's going to cut through the material by 1/100th of an inch. Now the bed of the ShopBot has this sacrificial layer of MDF, this kind of laminate wood there that is designed for you to cut into and cut through your workpiece. You don't want to do it willy-nilly. I'm only going 1/100th of an inch, but it's there for this purpose. So I'm going to say go ahead and do it anyway. And so now it's showing the path of the tool where it's going to carve, and I can preview, and I can actually sort of make sure that it's doing what I think it's going to do. Okay, so I'm going to close that preview panel, and then I'm going to come up here to the other tab, go back to my drawing. I've got my little square here, which I want to carve into the wood about halfway in the shape of that square. So that's called a pocket. So I'm going to go to the Pocket Toolpath button, and I'm going to go, let's say I'm going to go 0.3 inches deep, a little bit more than halfway. I'm still going to use the 1/2 inch ball nose. You have to select this, by the way, for each one. And I'm cutting, you could either go back and forth, or you could do kind of a helix spiral pattern. I'm going to go ahead and do that and calculate. Back to my drawing. I'm going to select my HPU here. And I'm going to the Carve Engraving toolpath. And I'm going to go, do I want to do 1/4 inch? No, I'm going to do 0.15 inches. Deep there. I'm going to calculate that. Close that, preview. And then got the holes, got the HPU, got the square. The last thing is I want to cut this out. And so I'm going to select the outer perimeter here, and I'm going to do Profile Toolpath. This is where the thing you're cutting out is in the middle. Now you don't have to go all the way through. Like if you wanted to have something stand up out of a larger plane, for instance, you can do that. But in this case, I'm going to cut all the way through, so I'm cutting it out. So I'm going to hit here. I'm going to go to 0.51 inches. Again, 1/2 inch is the depth, the thickness of my board. I'm using the ball nose because I don't want to have to change it. Although maybe that's changing it might be a good idea, but I'm going to try without changing it. And I am going to add some tabs. Now the reason for the tabs is I'm going to be, out of this piece of wood, I'm going to be cutting a 3x3 piece of wood out of this. And when it does that last pass, the piece of wood's going to break free. It's going to be rattling around. It might actually get damaged by the spinning cutter. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave 3 tabs where at the bottommost part it doesn't quite cut all the way through. And okay, and I'm going to take a look at my pass here. Okay. And calculate. Again, it's warning me about cutting through, but that's okay. And now I'm going to preview all the tool paths. And this is what it's going to look like in the end. Okay? So, I can save a picture if I want of the preview. I don't really want to, so I'm just going to close that. Now we have told it what it's going to carve. We're using the same tool for each. Keep in mind, you don't have to use the same tool for each of the steps, but I'm trying to keep this short. So click Toolpath List, and it selects all of the different carving operations, and then you come over here and you hit the Save Toolpath to File, and so I'm going to call this ShopBot example, SB example, and I'm saving it to my folder on the computer here. Okay, so that is a quick overview of using VCarve to design an object. Now I want to encourage you to just go through all of the different tools, polygons, curves. You can make rectangular matrices or linear lines. You can have all kinds of, you can take different objects and you can meld them together. You can transform objects. So just play with the different buttons. You're not going to break anything by playing with the software. So I'm going to stop here. That is a quick overview of VCarve. In the next video, I'm going to set up the ShopBot, and from this, we're going to carve this object.